Hey friends, it's Joby here with another AusGamers weekly wrap-up. This week brought to you by the Coca-Cola's Colour Your Summer campaign. I am joined once again by AusGamers managing editor Stephen Farrelly. Steve, what is the terrible secret of space?
So this is a video about video games. I don't know, I'll have to think about it.
Alright, come back to me. Speaking of space, we're going to jump straight into the news. Elite Dangerous is a new game coming out from David Braman and his team at Frontier Development, and this week they announced that they would not be including single player mode out of the box, or when it launches it would not have a single player mode attached. Do you think this is an elite move or a dangerous one, Steve?
I think maybe a little from column A, a little from column B. I personally prefer those types of games as a bit of a single player experience, especially something like that. You know, you've got real world geometry, well, real space geometry travel, you've got to worry about gravitational pull, you're mining, you're doing all sorts of things. It just sort of seems like one of those really great, like, solo experiences, but...
Yeah, well, you know, I think it's one of those situations where, you know, they've got a complex in-game economy, and it relies pretty heavily on players being able to, you know, buy, sell and trade items that they gather from around space, you know, whether it be from mining or shipping or from stealing, space piracy. And you know, people are just out to get their space bucks in this massive space world, and I think it's important that people aren't able to exploit you know, loopholes in the game's engine to, I don't know, artificially increase their space bucks, because that could ruin the experience for other people. So I think they do have some sort of obligation to protect players from that. There's also a large element of, you know, player-to-player interaction that's very similar to DayZ. That is
space zombies.
There's no space zombies. No, I mean, there might be. No, there's no space zombies. Yeah, what I mean is, you know, that sort of kill-on-sight, bandit sort of situation that occurs a lot in DayZ. Yeah, that's sort of prevalent in Elite Dangerous as well, and they want to preserve that experience. So I think they possibly have I think they have the right idea, the players' interests at heart, but hopefully they can do something like DayZ does with Private Hives, where eventually you get to a point where you can just set up a game to play on your own, as opposed to, you know, being forced to play with others, but you can't take that single player person into the online space.
I always thought at this point in time, like when we're making games about the future, it'd be more like Star Trek with no economy. It sort of speaks volumes about where we're at still in terms of development, that we rely on things like economy. But I mean, I guess if you are talking about trading and playing with other players, you need to incentivize that in some capacity.
Yeah, it would be. I think it would be quite difficult to do without a specific economy, especially, you know, one that players can immediately connect with in a cerebral way. But at the same time, yeah, I do wish the space games explored the furthest reaches of our imagination a bit more. You know, sort of explored fantasy concepts as opposed to very basic, well, not basic, but very grounded.
Yeah, foundational, human, earthy stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I think No Man's Sky looks like it might do some pretty interesting stuff in the fantasy realm.
Yeah, the procedural stuff worries me a little bit there, but you know, we haven't seen enough of that game to really be able to call whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing. And the small team is equally worrying, but could also be really good because they're liberated and they don't really have any constraints. So we'll have to wait and see for that.
True. Let's have a look. If you haven't seen Elite Dangerous, we'll show you the third beta. It's just launched into Gamma stage because it's launching very soon, but we can have a look at the beta trailer now.
Gamma rays.
Warning. Temperature critical.
Cool, that looked Kevin Spacey. World of Warcraft turns 10, turned 10 this week, and it hit 10 million players again. That's quite an achievement.
Yeah, it was not so long ago they kind of announced their subscription numbers had dropped to 7 million. So to climb back up to 3 million in such a short amount of time sort of speaks volumes about what the franchise means, but maybe more so what Draenor means to players. There's a lot of old players coming back, and on AusGamers this week, well, last week I actually spoke with Chris Robinson, who's the senior art director, a veteran of the actual game, and he talked openly about the idea that Warlords of Draenor is sort of more about the game itself coming full circle from where it began. And we joked about the idea that there are some players that kind of started their World of Warcraft adventures at Mists of Pandaria, which is like mind-boggling.
Yeah, that is crazy. That is actually just horrifying to think about. I mean, they only ever understand the game to be this watered-down version of what it once was. That they must think that Draenor is a drastic departure from the Warcraft they understand.
Yeah, but hopefully it sort of sparks a bit of an idea to get back into what Warcraft actually means. And with the Warcraft movie on its way, and fingers crossed, Warcraft 4, one day down the track, we might see something. We might see more people kind of exploring those traditional worlds and understanding where a lot of the original lore stems from.
And that's not all you found out in this interview, right? You found out some interesting news about our green, watery friends.
Yeah. Have you ever wanted to roll a Murloc? Well, it turns out it might have been a lot closer than you think. Chris actually said that it's been shockingly close several times. Also, he mentioned that it's not off the table yet. So I might actually roll a Murloc one day and get back into the game.
Claim your destiny. You will all be conquerors. And what, Gul'dan, must we give in return? Everything. Reject this gift. And did you bring these mongrels here just to watch you die?
They don't get that wrong ever, do they, the cinematics?
They're gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous.
And make sure you're sticking around on AusGamers because we have a weekly diary, thanks to Earl, who has dusted off his axes or whatever it is that, I don't know what character he rolls, but yeah, he's going deep into the game and really long, lengthy diaries. We're not going for a score straight away because you just can't. It's an MMO, you just can't.
It is kind of pointless to attempt to score an MMO. Yeah, it's, thanks you all for sacrificing yourself to Blizzard's,
Crack.
Yeah. Moving on, Dark Souls 2 is getting a re-release on Xbox One and PlayStation 4. It's going to be an updated version of the game. It's going to have new NPCs, new gameplay elements, new ways to play with other people. I read that there are increasing the amount of available players in one instance to 6, which is pretty interesting. I hope we've got some 3-on-3 stuff happening. That'll be hilarious. Do you think that, this is coming out in April next year, it's called, was it Scholar of the First Sin? Do you think that you'll wait for Scholar of the First Sin to be your first From Software Souls type game, or are you still going to jump in March for Bloodborne?
Well, now we know why Bloodborne was pushed back as well.
It's true.
So, you know, it's a tough one because Bloodborne still looks gorgeous, but there's no telling what they're going to do with this update. Hopefully it's not a straight port. Hopefully they spend a bit of time with it like Rockstar has with GTA 5.
First person mode in Dark Souls, is that what you're looking for?
That would be sensational.
It would be insane. It would be almost impossible.
There's very few companies that have actually managed to get melee correct in the first person though, so
True.
leave it alone from Software.
Maybe hire the people from Chivalry. I play the shit out of that game.
Honestly, I don't know. I'm kind of invested in Bloodborne at this stage, but everybody loves Dark Souls so much, and I don't know, if I get in there, even if it's on an Xbox One or PS4, am I going to get ganked no matter what I do? So
Yes.
it's such a scary...
At least if you jump in at Bloodborne, everyone will be trying to work out what the hell they're trying to do.
Yes.
As opposed to, if you jump into Dark Souls, I guarantee I'll find out whatever you're playing on, and I'm going to rush to areas just to gank you.
So I'll play Bloodborne,
Yep.
learn the mechanics, then I'll come in and try and gank you.
Yeah, you can try. Let's have a look at the new trailer for Scholar of the First Sin.
One drowned in poison, others come into the flame. Still another slumbers in the realm of light. Not one stood here as you do.
So, yeah, that looks pretty awesome. I'm pretty amped for it. Moving on to news we talked about last week. Just Cause 3, we threw out the idea that maybe they should have multiplayer on launch, but they came out and said almost immediately that there will be no multiplayer on launch.
Turns out Avalanche doesn't listen to us all the time, Joe.
Yeah, well, it's pretty devastating to find out that you aren't directly dictating what it is they do as a company. But
What's up with that, Avalanche? Come on.
sort it out. Yeah, maybe you should start another petition. Does it work last time?
It did work last time. Yeah, I don't know. How do you reckon people really want multiplayer in Just Cause 3?
It seems to be pretty popular in Just Cause 2, right?
Yeah.
Even just co-op. Co-op changed Far Cry 4 from being basically Far Cry 3 to being an amazing and hilarious experience that I recommend everyone gives a shot. So, you know, I don't know. I think multiplayer is pretty important in this day and age.
I would probably venture that there's already a petition out there, so we should just find it.
We'll just find it and join in. True. Anyway, just quickly this week, our Aussie game of the week, I suppose. Crossy Road is out this week from Hipster Whale. It's a endless hopper, an endless frogger game. So you sort of...
So George Costanza would be amazing at that game.
Yeah, he would be the world champ. He'd be better than Junglist, who's currently #1 in the world.
Right.
Yeah,
Isn't he #1 in the world in most games though?
that's true. Yeah, but this one's actually released, so.
Right.
Anyway, yeah. So that one's out now. You can let's have a very quick look at the trailer. So it looks cute. It's got interesting art style. It's it's always moving forward. It's only on iOS at the moment, which is a shame for those of us who've decided to go Android only. But
But on the Android only front, this is a little bit of a shout out to one of our regulars, Costa Andriatis, someone who I worked with in the industry when we first began back in the late 90s. He's one of the more colourful characters. His brother has practically released a solo effort with a bit of help here and there, but it's called Bomb on Bus, and it's an endless bomb on boss driver, speed, the boss that couldn't slow down.
Similar but legally distinct from the movie called Speed.
Yes. And yeah, that's only available on Android at the moment. However, he is working on an iOS release sometime soon. Just don't Google bomb on boss.
Oh, don't do it. But if you do want to find the game, Google Bomb on Bus Android, because that's the only way I can find it. But it is kind of cool. It's free to play. Does have in-app purchases, but you don't seem to need them to play more of the game, and it does seem to be getting updates quite regularly, which is cool. Anyway, I guess that wraps up this week.
Wait, Joe.
Yeah.
We did promise everybody last week that we were going to bring them something from the road. Obviously, we're not on the road. We're back in the studio.
Yes, that's true. I guess
we can't talk about the first part of what we did last week.
No,
not yet.
That's why we couldn't do it. You know, that's why we had to delay this. But I guess I do have some footage.
Joe played basketball, but not just any basketball.
No.
Joe went out to the 2K motion capture studio where they do all of the NBA 2K stuff.
Yep.
Donned a suit with lots of balls on it.
Yes.
It's not unfamiliar to you anyway.
Balls all over me.
Yes. Well, let's just have a look at what happened.
Well, that was really embarrassing. I never claimed to be good at basketball though, so.
No, this is true. I mean, you're good at NBA 2K.
I'm very good.
And you're good at our fantasy league.
True.
But maybe I can take you in a game pickup.
From that display, almost anyone could take me in a game of pickup.
We will actually have what we can't talk about next week for you.
In a big way.
Yeah, it's monstrous, so just stay tuned for that.
Yeah, I guess that.
Wait, one more thing.
Oh.
I do know what happens in space. I can't remember
The terrible secret of space?
the terrible secret of space.
Yeah.
If you get locked out of the space station, no one can hear you scream for the keys.
Being a father has really ruined your sense of humour, Steve.
Has it?
Yep.
Or has it heightened?
Oh my god. That is it for this week's weekly wrap. Oh my god. That's it for this week's weekly wrap up. Go to our site, go to AusGamers.com to check out our Coca-Cola Colour Your Summer campaign. You can win one of 5,000 FIFA Ultimate Team codes. Just click on the link and enter to win. That's pretty cool. We will see you next week with
Some pretty exclusive, cool stuff.
yes, pretty exclusive, very cool stuff.
Plus all the regular stuff that happens in
Plus all the news from the week. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We'll see you next week. Bye.